The Michigan Wolverines went out west to land a first-round tight end in COLSTON Loveland. Did lightning strike twice, and did they do the same thing going to Billings, Montana to land four-star Matt Ludwig? This is an original Idaho native. So he is from the same state as Colston Loveland, moved over to Montana, but followed Colston Loveland very closely. I think they had some interaction on some of these visits. Loveland played a role, and now Matt Ludwig is a Michigan Wolverine, a huge pickup for Coach Moore. Just looking at the profile of Matt Ludwig, when you break down some of the specs of this player, you're talking about 6'4", 240, like I mentioned, from Billings, Montana, number 11 tight end in the country on the composite. Nebraska was in the mix early. You see Texas Tech, Georgia, Tennessee in there. Steve Kasula able to ultimately get it done. And what I love about this player is the multi-sport athleticism. You look at some of the track numbers here. So track correlates big time with athletic performance for football players, especially when you have multiple events. You see a lot of these kids from Iowa, from the West, from the Midwest, compete in track, maybe allows them to outperform what you have them in their recruiting ranking, and then you see them in the combine and they're monsters. So you look at Matt Ludwig, 11, 1, 2 in the 100 meters. That's wide receiver speed. Shot put, 53. That's lineman strength. Discus, 172. So this is a guy with tremendous track acumen, also runs the 400, so he's got some long distance and mental toughness as well. That is a man's race. Also on the hardwood, this guy plays some basketball, and I promise we will get into some football in a second, but I just want to show the athleticism here of Matt Ludwig as you see him here on the basketball court. Nice little dunk. You see the big hands, which he uses to catch the football at tight end. I don't need to tell you about the correlation between basketball and tight end. See him go up and get it there. So the football player, what are we talking about? Well, listen, he wouldn't be recruited to Michigan if he couldn't play some ball. He is over 800 yards as a junior, so this is somebody who's been very productive. Tight ends usually aren't that productive in high school. A lot of times they play different positions, play different sports. You know, the production comes later. This is a guy who not only has all that multi-sport stuff, but he does have the production. So as we take a look here at the junior clips, in Montana, you see hands catcher, the balance on the sideline. Look at the strength of this dude, man. I mean, this guy to me, I know he's a four-star, top 247 player, but to me, this guy's closer to like a top 32 player because he just, to me, looks like a first-round pick. Again, I remember watching Colston Loveland at the same age when he was a prospect. You saw a lot of the same ability as far as being a multi-sport guy. I think Ludwig's a little thicker and stronger than Loveland. Loveland had more of that receiver build, but right there you see the hands catch, the feet in the back of the end zone. This is not just a raw athlete. This is someone that can already play. There you see him in the H-back, coming out in the wheel route, catches it, keeps his balance, finishes with a touchdown. I mean, this is big-time production. I know the competition is not the best, but you think of some of the tight ends that have come out of the West and the Midwest, schools like Iowa, you see what happens with, you know, Laporta, Hawkinson, some of these guys that have been able to come out of those schools. There you go. Look at the cut upfield. You see, I mean, 11-1-2, when you talk about speed, again, Michigan, they have receiver commits that have not been able to crack that number. So this is a very fast player. You see him going down the seam here, one-handed catch, and then he's a load to bring down. But this guy has really, to me, the total package. See him playing Wildcat quarterback, which I often find to be a good indicator of success because usually you put your best athlete at Wildcat quarterback. And obviously this guy is not just an athlete, he's a monster. I mean, you see the physicality there for Ludwig. This is not a finesse player. Loveland, if I had to compare the two, I think Loveland was probably more of a pure like wide receiver playing tight end. Not that he was soft, he wasn't, but he was more of a wide receiver playing tight end, while Ludwig, I think, is really a pure tight end with his thickness and his physicality. Also plays some defense as well and special teams. But there you see the speed. I mean, 11-2-1-2 is cooking. He's going to be able to make chunk plays. Here we go. Blocking in space. Able to lock in and finish. I mean, he just tosses this dude to the side. You see the strength, long arms, plus wingspan. And again, we mentioned the big hands. You saw when he was catching the ball and dunking it on the basketball court. There you see a nice, more sophisticated route. You know, simple curl, but he does it very well, and he does it lined out wide. So this is more action than you typically see. I mean, some of these tight ends that end up going to the NFL, they're blocking in high school or they're playing different sports. This guy at least is doing things similar to what he will be asked to do at Michigan. Here you go, lined up at H-back, hands catch, and then boom. I mean, this guy loves contact. You see it. It's like Cam Scadaboo for Arizona State. It's like he's like a magnet for some of these collisions. Obviously, the Big Ten, not quite what you see over there under the big sky in Montana, but that physicalness and those physical traits will play. There you go again. Just looking to punish guys and run people over. You love to see that mentality, especially for somebody who's such a versatile athlete that you don't know for sure they're going to have the toughness, but this guy does. Also, knows if you want to talk about toughness, he is a wrestler. Great wrestling out there. And here you see him on the defensive side of the ball. J.J. Watt, another Midwesterner who, I guess this would be more the West, but J.J. Watt, a Midwesterner who played tight end and defensive line. This guy fits that mold where you could see him also playing defensive line if he wanted to. I mean, look at the balance and toughness of this dude. You know, I know I compared him to COLSTON Loveland, but when you see those Wildcat clips, it's kind of easy to compare him to somebody named Tyler Warren, the other tight end who was drafted in the top 15 of this NFL draft. Similar just toughness, playing that Wildcat quarterback. Tyler Warren was a quarterback in high school, so you see a little bit of that. But this is something I think you could potentially use at Michigan. I mean, you have Bryce Underwood. He's a pretty good runner, so you may not need a Wildcat quarterback, but Penn State had a ton of success with Tyler Warren doing it. At least you have the capability here with Ludwig. Again, very productive, man. You see him on both sides of the ball making plays. Here you see him lined up a little more inside, making a play, tackle for loss. So two-way production, track production, basketball production. You really just check all the boxes here, and you see why this guy was so coveted. Great get for Coach Kasula. He really needed to get a tight end in this class. He did so. Mason Bonner from Colorado, another name that you might be looking at as a potential tight end for the University of Michigan. It seems like they want to take two. And just going through this Michigan commitment list, you got Brady Smeagol from California, the blue chip quarterback. Now you got Matt Ludwig from Montana, Brody Jennings, who is flirting with other schools. Miami's making a big run at him from Jacksonville, Florida. Tariq Boney, edge player from Washington, D.C. Bear McCorder from Cartersville, Georgia, interior offensive lineman, and then Jalen Pyle from Dallas, Texas. So this is a cross-country affair when you talk about the schools that you're after, or the states that you're after here in this Michigan class. And Sharon Moore is making clear he's going to get the best players in the country. I mean, look at Mason Graham from California, Loveland we talked about from Idaho. You're getting guys from all over the country because that is what goes in the first round, and that is what allows you to win national championships at a place like Michigan. Now, listen, the state of Michigan has had some tremendous success lately as far as producing players, probably more than you would believe. I heard Andrew Ivins on the 105 Boys podcast talk about the state of Michigan back in 2021, some of the players that came out of there, multiple first-round picks, but you're still going to probably need to go out of state if you're Michigan. That's an understatement. I mean, if you're going to compete for championships, beat teams like Ohio State, you have to leave the state of Michigan, and that's what you're doing here, going out west, taking advantage of a player that you already have in a COLSTON Loveland. But yeah, just thinking back to that Michigan class in 2021, you had a lot of good guys, man. You had Deion Burks, who's now at Oklahoma. Josh Thompson, who's now at LSU. Derek Harmon, first round pick of the Steelers. Some of these guys, you got to go down the line to find them. There's just a lot of dudes in this Michigan class, state of Michigan. So don't sleep on the players from the state of Michigan. A lot of these guys can turn out to be really, really talented players who help you in at the next level as well. So, anyways, I'll stop sharing. And just, again, great pickup for Michigan with Matt Ludwig. Love this player. 5-star talent to me. Remember to like and subscribe to Group Chat Sports. We'll break down every single big commitment that your school has. Portal, coaching change, you name it. We are all over it, especially with a big program like the University of Michigan. See you guys next time. Like and subscribe.